Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for April 2nd of 2025 is titled Jupiter and Ring in Infrared from Webb. So what do we see here? Well, here we see an image of Jupiter, which may look a little bit different than what you're used to seeing for Jupiter. But this is an infrared image taken by the James Webb Space Telescope. And we can see the distinct colorations we're used to seeing on Jupiter, at least the different structures. We don't see the exact colors, but we see the different bands and zones that mark the atmosphere of Jupiter. And we can also see the great red spot there, although in the infrared it does not look red. Here it looks a very whitish color. Now, those aren't the only things that we see here. We also see several of the moons. And in fact, we see Europa, the very bright object, off to the left hand side. And we see two smaller moons known as Metis and Thebe. And those are two smaller moons, and you can tell the difference. Europa is one of the four large satellites of Jupiter. These two are much smaller moons. Now, one other thing we can see here is the ring of Jupiter. Now, Jupiter, like all of the giant planets, has a ring system, but it's not near as prominent as the famous one around Saturn. Saturn has distinct rings of icy particles that are very good at reflecting light, and they're very wide, thick rings that make it very prominent in the sky when you observe it with a small telescope. However, when we look at Jupiter, we don't see those rings. And in fact, we didn't know of the rings even until 1979, when Voyager 1 spacecraft passed by and was able to look back at Jupiter from behind and give us the first view of those rings. So now we know that all four of the giant planets actually have some kind of ring system. Now, the Webb Space Telescope here is also be able to pick up that ring in the infrared, and you can see how faint it is compared to what you might be used to seeing with the rings of Saturn. And the question may be, where does Jupiter's ring come from then? And it's likely that the ring particles from Jupiter come from some of these moons. So, for example, a particle hitting Metis might then eject particles out from the moon and then into orbit around Jupiter, which could form that ring. So multiple hits there could put a number of ring particles over long periods of time into the orbit around Jupiter, giving it that very thin, faint ring. So when we look at the rings in the outer solar system, we see sometimes different processes going on in each of them. So while all four planets have a ring system, they're not all exactly the same. So that was our picture of the day for April 2nd of 2025. It was titled Jupiter and Ring in Infrared from Webb. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be Inside Out Solar System. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.